Spike, you have the morning paper? Private Eye asked.
Yeah, right here.
The detective took it and unfolded it on his desk, taking a sip from his coffee. Ever since reading a couple days ago about how a griffin was brutally killed in her sleep, he dreaded opening up the newspaper. He figured seeing somebody die out in some far-off place, way outside his jurisdiction, was going to become a regular occurrence, one that he wished he could do something more about. Yesterday, however, had been quiet. Even that was unsettling for him in a weird way instead of comforting. The top headline quickly shattered Private Eye's already waning peace of mind. He sighed heavily, pulling the newspaper up and reading it aloud. Buffalo Chief, Sheriff found dead. You don't suppose.
Wait, a Buffalo Chief?
Spike queried, cutting him off. Yeah, Private Eye said, glancing up at the dragon. He quickly studied Spike's surprised yet knowing face. The detective knew almost instantly. He always was good at spotting details. You know one, don't you? Spike looked away sadly and grabbed onto his tail, a nervous habit of his when something was bothering him. He responded slowly.
If what the headline indicates, I have a feeling you should have asked if I knew one. But, yeah, I do.
And the sheriff? I wasn't familiar with him as I was with the chief,
but I met him too. What does it say?
Private Eye skimmed through the article, looking for anything that mentioned their bodies. It didn't take long for him to find it. The chief was scalped and had some burn wound on his throat. And the sheriff? Well, it looks like he hung himself in his jail cell, but that's not it. The detective paused, trying to find the right way to tell Spike the gruesome details without making them both sick. It looked like he was ripped apart. He was the only suspect they had, but it didn't seem to matter in the end.
And this all happened in Appaloosa, I bet?
The stressed officer silently laid the paper down and nodded. The young Drake's head and heart sunk.
It's her. No question in my mind. I don't have to be there to know it after reading this. Does it mention anybody else?
Afraid not. They look like they are the only ones, unless something else has happened since then. The paper gently fell back onto the desk, and Private Eye rubbed his forehead. He felt another migraine coming on, and he didn't need to deal with one this early in the day just yet. Spike, take a letter. May as well let the Princess in Twilight know about this. Celestia looked out the window and studied the empty desert landscape from the comfort of the train's VIP car. The foreground zoomed by, teasing with an occasional shade of green, most likely from a random cactus. In the distance, soft purple and red mountains washed over the scenery, barely moving the train as the two mares readied themselves for the last leg of their journey to Dodge Junction. Twilight whispered to herself the spell a few more times while her teacher proudly looked at her from the corner of her eye. They had been awake for a couple hours now. The sun had risen without any delays, just like the other recent days with Luna controlling the motions of the heavenly bodies. Even though she had been relieved that her younger sister had shown she was indeed capable of such feats, she hoped this whole ordeal with Pinky would be over soon, so she could get back to her regular duties. Handling paperwork and dealing with upset citizens was far less stressful than what she'd been going through lately. In a quick flash of magic, a letter dropped out of the air and landed in front of the princess. The soft rapping of the scroll on the floor caught Twilight's attention as well, pulling her away from her practice. A soft golden glow took hold of the parchment and unrolled it for Celestia. She looked it over quickly, her calm demeanor slowly giving way to helplessness as she learned the fates of Pinky's latest victims. She turned to her student. Do you know the names Thunderhooves and Sheriff Silverstar ring any bells, Twilight?
A bit, yes. I seem to recall Thunderhooves from... where was it?
Appaloosa? Celestia asked bluntly.
Yes, that's it.
Twilight froze up when it occurred to her why the princess was asking such a thing. The last time they received a letter, it was grim news about Gilda.
Oh no.
Celestia nodded sadly and popped the scroll away. Private Eye suspects Pinkie Pie is at it again. He didn't go into detail in the letter, but he mentioned seeing some descriptive terms in the paper. I have a feeling he's probably correct again. Twilight's eyes fell to the floor. Hearing about one murder after another, with her being unable to do anything about it, was making her frustrated. It didn't help that a part of her was angry because, thanks to seeing things spiral out of control as of late, she hadn't died that night so she could be with her friends again. Maybe then, this nightmare would have already been over. From what Spike told them in his first letter to them, Pinkie only wanted Twilight. Now it seemed that she was killing these others out of spite more than anything else. She grit her teeth behind angry, pursed lips. Her head started to throb just enough for her to notice. Finally, she snarled out loud. Ugh! Can't this train go any faster? We need to find a trinket of hers now! It's going as fast as it can, Twilight. Please calm down. I can't calm down, she snapped without thought. Gilda, Thunderhooves, the sheriff, they're all dead because of me. Spike said it himself. She wants me. Maybe it'd be easier if I just... No. The princess cut her off. I know what you're thinking, and you're wrong. You have no idea if doing such a thing would make her stop. I'm not going to take that chance. We've both already lost so much. I don't want to lose you, too. Ashamed, the young mare looked away, still seething a little. She stomped a hoof on the bench cushion. But it's... Celestia quieted Twilight by lifting her up and laying her gently next to her large white body. It seemed to soothe her enough. The unicorn was still upset, but not as much as she was a minute ago. This hasn't been an easy on any pony, my student, but we will stop her, I promise. You already know what you need to know. I guess, Twilight mumbled. She took a calming breath. How much longer do you think until we arrive? You know we still have another day until we reach Dodge Junction. Listen. When we arrive, Princess, to be honest, I'd prefer to start asking around, see if any pony knows where her old home is, as quickly as possible. I don't want to stop until we've found the place, Twilight demanded. Her forward attitude surprised Celestia, but only briefly. She couldn't blame her student for feeling aggravated. The sooner they got their hooves on a keepsake of Pinkie's, the sooner they could put this to bed. I understand. Until then, do try and remain calm. Losing your cool isn't going to help any pony, and we need you to be focused when we are ready to perform the ritual. You don't want to stress yourself out so much you forget your lines, Celestia said with a relaxed tone. Twilight sighed, regretting her outburst. I'll try. Sorry, Princess. It's all right, my student. It's all right. The arrival at the train station couldn't have come soon enough for Twilight. As soon as the loudspeakers announced that the train had come to a complete stop, she was off the bench and out their cabin door in a flash. Once the two mares were outside, Twilight trotted across the road to a local market. No pony who worked there knew who the Pie family was, nor had heard about a rock farm. They stopped in one building after the next, asking every pony who worked there, and had even started asking the customers. If Princess Celestia hadn't been there, the store owners would likely have thrown Twilight out after a while. No pony at the local restaurants, the bank, the police station, any of the manufacturing buildings, or anywhere else seemed to know who Pinkie's family was. It was beginning to look more and more like a dead end as the day crept on. So much so that it was becoming probable that they would have to venture outside of town and simply hope and pray that they happened to run into a farm of some sort. With every other defeat, Twilight became more disheveled and worried. Was their trip going to be all for nothing? Pinkie needed to be stopped. They were so close they could taste it. It was then that a sudden stroke of good luck found them in the form of a newspaper stand. Oh yeah, I know that old guy, a stallion with a faded teal coat and a short white beard said. Comes by every day about 5 or 6 o'clock, asking for the evening edition. Sometimes hangs out for a little while. Talks a bit. Think I'm the only one he says much to. Never seems to know much about what other ponies in town are doing. But he seems pleasant enough. He even invited me over to dinner a couple of times. Why do you want to know? He in some kind of trouble or something? The mares looked at each other nervously.
No, not exactly,
Twilight said, picking her words carefully. We need to find something that belongs to one of his daughters. It's for an experiment of sorts. It has to be something from when she was very young. Crazy magic stuff, you know? Is that right? Well, to get to his place, you head down that way. He pointed east. And head right at the last building at the end of the street. You don't want to make a hard right, just about halfway, and you keep going straight until you come to a half-dead tree, with 3 real big branches forking up. You'll know when you see it. About 50 or so feet ahead, you'll spot a trail on the road. Follow that trail, and his place is a good hour and a half. Maybe 2 at a slow pace, anyway. Ain't much to look out there. Mostly a bunch of rocks all over the place. By the way, any idea how his little girls are doing? You seem to know at least one of them from what you said.
Yes, we knew one. Her name was Pinky.
Twilight hung her head, misery being replaced by anger. She repressed her emotions and fought to furrow her brow.
She was a friend. She isn't with us anymore, though.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'll let you be on your way, then. Has the old man found out yet?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. She never said much about her home life from when she was young.
Well, give them my regards and my sympathies. Take care, little missy. Your Highness, the newspaper pony said, bowing to the princess. According to the sun's position in the sky, Celestia estimated it was somewhere between 3 and 4 o'clock when they arrived at a rather run-down-looking farm. Just as the old stallion said, there were rocks decorating most of what could be considered fields if one squinted hard enough. A long dead tree stood about 50 feet away from a silo that had seen better days. Most of the wood that made up its walls was rotted and cracked thanks to years of neglect. The topsoil was loose and grainy under their hooves, puffing into tiny dust clouds every time the 2 mares stepped. How any pony could live in such a place was a question that ate at both Twilight and the princess, as they approached the small house with the faded brown roof in front of them. Its empty, forgotten appearance made them shiver uncomfortably. Everything around the pair just seemed creepy. Seemingly just to drive the point home, the windmill beside it, which was lacking a few blades, spun a few inches as a gust of wind flew by. It spoke out loud, jarring squeak. Twilight took a deep breath when they reached the front door. She knocked softly. Nothing. She bit her lip and glanced at her teacher, who looked back at her. Twilight gathered her courage and tested the doorknob. It was open. She pushed it ajar, and a long creak filled their ears.
Hello? Any pony home?
Silence.
Hello?
Twilight repeated. Still nothing.